This talk is dedicated to every ambitious student out there who has the hunger to succeed and be a change maker. Every once in a while, a massive change happens around us which changes the way we live our daily life. 1993 to 95, when liberalization took place, Indian economy started picking up and lives of every Indian became much better. 2005 to 2010 saw the rise of the Indian IT revolution with Infosys, TCS, Wipro, and many more companies coming up. 2010 to 2015 saw the rise of the Indian startup ecosystem with Flipkart, Snapdeal, Ola, and many more. But what could be one of the biggest revolutions which is yet to happen? How many of you here have thought once in your life that the current education system needs to change? Great. A year back, we all started working together on a mission which has slowly started to have shown results. One can't change the system overnight, so the best way to do is to create an alternative and parallel system and show it to the world out there. Today, you will hear one such revolution for the future called as the Student Startup Revolution. For the next few minutes, don't just read or listen, but imagine the new way of learning online. Every startup in India has a moment in their life when they say, I have an idea. I use this line so many times during my college days, but what you get back to here is something many students will relate to. It is focus on your degree or this is not your time. But what I believe is that students are way smarter in the internet era. If you want to search, you Google. If you want to chat, you WhatsApp. If you want to network, you Facebook. But if you want to learn, is the biggest question now. Students are still stuck to the old school methods and have not pushed their boundaries. Today, you will hear how we can reinvent the engineering education in India. Imagine if students could build real products while in college, launch it to customers while in college, and gain global exposure when they're still young. Yes, you heard me right. Build real products, launch it to customers, and gain global exposure. All this not before and after college, but while you're still in college. Here is how you can experience the student startup revolution.
Now, note that it is easy to write down all the formulas and conversions. The tricky part is to check to see if you have actually got all the units right. In this case, I converted everything into the SI system first, then converted back to USCS units at the very end. Which is a very good strategy for almost all the problems. Understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Rahul,
Yes, ma'am.
any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Yes.
If the temperature changes from 84 degrees centigrade to 70 degrees centigrade over a distance of 4 centimeters, the temperature gradient is by 0.5, which is equal to 1% of 4 degrees centigrade, and the gradient is 200.
Rahul, are you there? Rahul!
Yes, ma'am.
Idiot.
A regular engineering student is stuck with these three things called as classes, semesters, and placements. We started analyzing the system and made a small graph of opportunities versus skills. The top side is the more opportunities and more skills, and below is the less opportunities and less skills. The current system of engineering doesn't provide opportunities or skills, but there are few students who push their limits and do things outside their classrooms. They stand right here with little more skills and little more opportunities. But what we need to have is something which gives the best opportunities and skills to these students. Here is where the starting college is. Have you learned engineering by building real product? Yes, now this is true. You can learn engineering by building real products and solving a real problem around us. Students can now build a problem solving capability when they are really young. Here is a story of Arya and Sarah who have built startups while in college. Sarah went on to receive funding offers from investors which she never imagined while joining college, and neither did their teachers. Arya is an example of a classic hustler who went on to feature on the front page of Hindustan Times, a free trip to Google I/O, and has recently raised crowdfunding of Rs 65,000 for Jagriti Yatra instead of asking money from parents. Skills like these make every engineer very valuable. Here is the second story of Arun Purushottam, a recent graduate who builds a startup while in his college and then gets a job offer and an admit into a prestigious Draper University. But he ditches both of them completely and starts his new startup, but now he knows how to do it even better with the right set of skills. It's like engineering and learning to build a house once and you go on to build a resort later. These are the future engineers who are called as the startup engineers. Yes, this is a new term which we all would see in the future. Every student imagines to graduate in two different ways, but we want to show the world that there are six different ways to graduate and not just two. What if the students get funding at the end of their college? Or what if they get selected to a prestigious accelerator? Or what if they are acquired by a bigger company? Or build a self sustainable business by the end of their engineering education? Sometimes they might not be commercially successful, but they're definitely technically successful. They can now work for a good startup or use this whole experience to fetch an awesome admit for further studies because others are still busy asking their friends to write an SOP or an LOR for admissions. So, let me take you through this journey of why this way of learning is far more amazing than the traditional methods. From a team in college with your friends of minimum two people, one who can build a product and the another who can sell. This is how you start building your dream startup team. If you put this journey into 6 months of time, which is an ideal period of building your first startup, you would have the difference between the current education system and the new way of learning. In the current system, students just learn to build teams, but here in the startup world, you actually build a team. In the second month, you actually write project reports in the college, which goes on to a closet and you don't never use it again. But in starting college, you are here to build product decks, which you later go on to showcase it to investors. In the traditional system, you learn coding and to write hundreds of exams, but here you learn coding to build one real product which scales globally. Here, you talk only to teachers, but in starting college, you get a chance to talk to your customers, which is the most magical thing ever. You raise sponsorship for college events, but here you raise investment for your own startup. Students are now fighting for an internship in some random OMSI IT solutions near Karol Bagh or Chandni Chowk, but in the starting college program, you get to visit the startups in the Silicon Valley. Yes, you're right. You read and hear stories in the system, but now it's time that you become part of the story. The last leg of the talk would be on gaining global exposure while in college. This is something which I experienced while I was in college, building my first startup in robotics and the second startup, one in my third year of engineering called as Speak Up for building public speaking and communication skills in students. It was really fun back then, where I got an experience to represent the country at NASA and got an exposure which gave me a huge shift in mindset and was an exciting experience, which I thought later that every student should once have in their college life because students need an experience to know what's best in the world so that they can build one in the future. The last story which I would want to share here is a story of Jibin Jose, a student entrepreneur who did his first startup in his college hostel in a remote town called as Wayanad in Kerala. And then during this journey, he visited Silicon Valley. And today, he spends half of his time in the valley doing his business and stands as a role model to many students in Kerala. Stories like these are so fascinating to hear and motivating enough to break your stereotypes. A system like this will produce smart students in the future and who go on to build amazing companies or would have great skills to work for a great startup.
Hello, my name is Jibin Jose and I'm a student entrepreneur. I created my startup while in final year of engineering with my hostel mate and was one of the early students to apply for the SV Square program. I was lucky to get selected and that first trip to Silicon Valley changed my life. You get to see how the future would look like. When we sit here in India, and always have to listen to what teachers and parents tell us about what's out there, imagination is your only limitation. Young students like us are building new products which other normal people can use. With the right global exposure, you get more confidence to do things in life. You learn to overcome your fear of failure, and you realize that people out there are also normal people like us. If we work hard, we can also be successful. I didn't know anything when I was starting up. I learned the basic skill to survive on my own and to teach myself new things. Learn to take risk early on in life. As we grow up, our responsibilities increase, and then one stands to lose too much by taking risk. By not taking a small risk while in 4 years of your college, you are taking a bigger risk for the rest of your life. If I had started in the first year and went to Silicon Valley in second year, I would have saved so much more time. Do your startup early in your life. The skills you pick up are so valuable that even if you fail, the experience is worth so much more. When we are young, we have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
I would like to say this. In India, over 1 million engineers graduate every year, but only a few challenge their status quo. The country needs engineers who are young problem solvers, those who learn beyond their classrooms, solve a real time problem, conquer their fears, and change the world. If you are that fearless genius among the million graduates, no matter where you are, if you have the courage to build something better than ever before, invest in yourself. What you invest grows. Join us in the student startup revolution, where colleges will turn out to be centers of excellence, students will start solving real world problems, and students would start aspiring to become job generators. India will now experience the new way of learning online. Thank you.